I get a ton of questions from people all the time who are thinking about relocating to Cincinnati, Ohio. A lot of them from viewers here on YouTube, many of whom have become clients of mine, which I've helped move here to Cincinnati from other cities and states. Census reports are showing us that 33 people per day are making the move to Cincinnati, Ohio. That's about 12,000 people per year. What I've learned after being asked probably about 2,000 different questions is that it really comes down to a handful of questions that are most common amongst you folks interested in Cincinnati. So in this video, I'm going to go over the top 5 most asked questions for people moving to Cincinnati, Ohio. We're getting into it right now. What's going on? Is Victor Pham, local realtor here in the Cincinnati metro area. On this channel, we talk about all things Cincinnati, all things real estate. So if you want to know what it's like to live, work, eat, play, and chill in Cincinnati and the Cincinnati suburbs, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss anything new. I'm helping people all the time sell and buy real estate here in Cincinnati. So feel free to reach out to me if you have any buying or selling needs in Cincinnati or the suburbs around Cincinnati. I'm sure I can help you too. And remember, when it comes to houses in Cincinnati, you can always call Vic. All right, number 1 on the list is going to be crime. Now, I've gotten so many different variations of questions related to crime from all different types of people, from all different backgrounds. What's the crime like over here?
Is it dangerous over there? Is this a high crime area?
I made a video diving pretty deep into the crime statistics in Cincinnati. Click that link up here if you want to check that out. I also left a link to that video in the description below. I've looked at all kinds of crime statistics, not only from Cincinnati, but from other major cities as well. Some are better than others, but what I can say most of them have in common is that the data can be projected and interpreted so many different ways. I've made a commitment to you, the viewer, to always present you the facts and keep it all the way real with you when I'm making these videos and try to remain as unbiased as I possibly can. There's some ugly parts of Cincinnati, but there's also some very beautiful areas as well, like any major city.
Let me tell you something you already know. The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows.
Crime will almost always be concentrated more heavily in the inner city, and as you get deeper and deeper into the outskirts, into the suburbs, there is less reported crime. I've lived in and out of the Cincinnati area my whole life, both in some rough areas and some really nice areas. And I say the answer to that question, is Cincinnati safe? Yes, it is. In my opinion, there is more good than bad. Number 2 is diversity. How diverse is Cincinnati really? Now, people who ask me this type of question, I think a lot of times are really wanting to know the answer to a different question, which is this. Will I be accepted in the area I choose to live in? Will I fit in? If you're not including the metro areas and only talking about the general Cincinnati area, you're looking at a racial makeup where there's about 50% of the residents who are white, and the other half are non-white. And in recent decades, mixed races have been surging, so it's pretty even across the board. Also, the accommodations being made for the rapidly growing Muslim population really adds to the diversity of the religious communities in Cincinnati. In addition to that, the Cincinnati Veterans Hospital in Clifton is ranked in the top 10% of VA hospitals in the nation. It's definitely on the rise. And as we all know it, our veterans come from all different racial, economic, and cultural backgrounds. Many veterans after retirement like to settle down here in places like Cincinnati because of the low cost of living. And a lot of them come to the Cincinnati VA hospital to be served. Now, of course, the more wealthy the neighborhood you choose to live in, the less economic diversity there will be. I mean, because most people ain't rich. They gotta live where they can afford to live. But overall, is Cincinnati diverse? Yes. Is there somewhere that you will feel like you fit in here in Cincinnati? Absolutely. All right, number 3 is gonna be the weather. Cincinnati is not a tropical city. If that's what you thought,
somebody done told you wrong.
It is nowhere near the ocean. The closest thing you're gonna get to a beach is probably up in East Fork Lake, but honestly, it's not that glamorous and the water is kind of brown. The good thing about the weather in Cincinnati is that it keeps you on your toes. We get all 4 seasons, summer, winter, spring, and fall. When it's not unbearably humid or blistering cold in the winter, the weather can be absolutely gorgeous, like in the fall and spring months. So you definitely need to expect change living in Cincinnati. And you definitely need to have all types of clothing because at some point you will need them. Another good thing about Cincinnati weather is that when it comes down to natural disasters, we really don't get a lot of those. We don't get earthquakes. Most of Cincinnati sits in very hilly valleys, so you rarely see tornadoes. Hurricanes are out, obviously, because there are no oceans. I think the most extreme thing I remember seeing recently is maybe some flooding. It is a very rainy city, so you might face some water intrusion issues if your home is not waterproof well. But I've never seen like the streets just completely flooded and like houses floating away or anything like that. Cincinnati has some rough weather at times, but it is pretty resilient to big natural disasters. Number 4 is cost of living. Now, this has been one of the biggest reasons why people have been relocating to Cincinnati in recent years. If you're on the West Coast or the East Coast or somewhere tropical like Florida, then you might know that compared to a lot of the states in the middle of the country, you have some of the highest home prices, rents, and everyday costs in the entire country. So when people ask me how much does it cost to live here in Cincy, I tell them it's one of the cheapest regions in the country to live in. You really do get a lot of bang for your buck when it comes to home prices compared to the other more popular cities. Now, we do pay state taxes as well as property taxes, but if you pick the right area, the taxes might not be so bad. There's so many different municipalities and neighborhoods to choose from in Cincinnati, both in the city and outside in the suburbs, so the tax rates can fluctuate greatly. Just pay attention to that if you're shopping for a home and trying to pick an area that fits your affordability. But is Cincinnati affordable? It very much is. People from many different economic backgrounds have the potential to thrive here in Cincinnati. And number 5 on the list is going to be fun, or things to do. What kind of things are there to do in Cincinnati? I mean, we don't even have a beach, right? What could there be to do? Actually, a lot more than you think. Cincinnati actually has a very deep history, and you can see it built into the architecture if you just take a look around. From the museums that showcase Cincinnati's history, annual festivals that bring in big crowds and big money, big-time theme parks like Kings Island out in Mason, Ohio, a vast array of restaurants that offer almost any type of food you can imagine, and not to mention almost all the pro sports teams Cincinnati has to offer, if of course you're into sports. You have an endless options of things to do in Cincinnati. And I haven't really even scratched the surface with just naming off that little bit of stuff. I made a video about the top 50 things to do in Cincinnati. If you want to check that out up here, it's also in the description below. You guys really seem to like that video a lot, so I'll tell you what. If 5 people in the comment section below type "give me 50 more," I'll make a part 2 to that video with 50 more things to do in Cincinnati. 5 different people in the comments type "give me 50 more," I'll make that video. That's how much there is to do in Cincinnati. If you can't find something to do here, then you're just not looking hard enough. If you're thinking about making a move to or from Cincy or the Cincy suburbs and you need help buying or selling a home, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'm more than happy to help you with that. If you appreciate the content, please consider subscribing to the channel. Interested in some more cool videos about what it's like living in Cincinnati, Ohio? Check out these videos right over here. Thanks for watching, and remember, when it comes to houses in Cincinnati, you can always call Vic.